Maybe you can sum. Hello.
Pardon, ich wusste nicht, dass Irres stattfindet.
Maybe we can find some like philosophy students. I think it's not only because the quality of discussion, but also then you have like robust interest, right? So basically.
Mm.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway.
but I'm not taking any philosophy classes anymore, so.
You are writing your thesis, right?
Yeah, theoretically, I sent in my expose last month, but I haven't heard back from the person yet, so I don't even know if I have an advisor or not.
Which direction you are going?
Critical theory, like Walter Benjamin.
Oh, cool, cool. And which professor?
He's not a professor. He's like a Privatdozent, I think. Christian Schmidt. I've never taken any classes with him, but I think there was one other lecturer, is at the Schumacher, that I wanted to try with. She said she couldn't because she has too many bachelor arbeits that she's overseeing. So I wrote to this other person, but he's taking a very long time to respond.
Cool. Yeah. So let's get to the Laozi. And I think last time we find that there was not so much new, but from chapter 50 onwards, we have some more intensive passages. Yeah. Would you like to read chapter 50?
Of all who go from birth to death, those who live long are 3 out of 10. Those who die young are 3 out of 10. Those who are alive but kneel around in the field of death are also 3 out of 10. Now, why is that? It is because they take too good care of their lives. I have heard those who know how to preserve themselves do not encounter rhinos or tigers when traveling on land, do not wear armor when going into battle. That the rhino finds no spot to butt its horn, that the tiger finds no spot to sink its claws, that the weapon finds no spot to thrust its blade. Now, why is that? It is because they are not in the field of death.
出生入死，生之土十有三，死之土十有三。人之生，动之于死地，亦十有三。夫何故？以其生生之后。盖闻善射生者，陆行不逾四虎，入军不披甲兵。四无所投其脚，虎无所用其爪，兵无所容其刃。夫何故？以其无死地。
I think my first question is that they only have like 十有三, so when you add up all the sun, it's only 9. Is that like supposedly supposed to be 10 as well, or is there like an intentional one that's being left out?
I think the 10% is those who live according to the Tao.
Yeah, that was what I was thinking as well, but he doesn't really say it anywhere in the text.
Yes, he just left it out. And I think that's the second stanza. So that's the 10 out, 1 out of 10. Those who know how to preserve themselves. Further question?
But then what would be the difference between those who live long and those who know how to preserve themselves? Is it that those who live long are just lucky? And then the 10% is the one that live long because they follow the Tao?
It's a good question. According to, yeah, I think it's a very good question. Luck, or if in today's our term, right, we would say live long does not mean live well, right? But for Laozi's his framework would be if someone lives his or her life according to Tao, it's not possible that he will not live long, right? And at the same time, but the other way around, maybe we can say, so there will be 4 out of 10 who live long, but 3 of them also live long, but not according to Tao. But that 1% live long and also according to Tao. Can we maybe say this?
I guess, but then, so it's just by luck then that they live long.
Or the reasons is not clear, but we know then maybe live long is the necessary condition for you to live according to Tao, but not sufficient. Right?
I guess, but then the second stanza seems to talk about how to live longer, right? It doesn't really talk about if we think that it's necessary but not sufficient, and that the sufficient condition maybe it's like you have to live well as well. The second stanza doesn't talk about living well. It just talks about avoiding danger.
Exactly. So then, and as I said, to live long and live well, these 2 categories kind of like my understanding, right? We don't find this stuff in Laozi himself directly. So then it can run into a problem. Yeah, I think this is a very good question. And for me, it's like the most interesting passage or interesting stuff in this passage is the first sentence. 出生入死. And they understand it like most of the text of all those who go from birth to death. It's this, then have a, make this sentence into the whole long context, right? But before I read those expert interpretation, I always interpret this passage as what is death? Death is the state when someone is out of birth or out of life. So I always interpreted it as the definition of death as the opposite of life. Death is nothing but out of life. Then you enter death. But I also now I find then I will have a problem to put it into the following passage, right? But I think that one make like a very smart and a general philosophical assertion then.
In what sense?
It just say like death is, maybe you can interpret further like death does not really exist. What exists is life, right? So what is death? Death is only out of life. Then you enter that stuff, for example, right? And that's the first thought about this. And the second, Laozi always say something like A to B and B to A, right? So kind of we could call that dialectic. But here he doesn't say 出生入死,出死入生. Like out of death, life that is death, and out of death that is life. So, you know, why I say this? The first is, according to Laozi's habit, you can definitely like have this routine, right? That's the first reason. And the second, like in Phaedon or Plato, Phaedon, that's a long passage. Socrates argue that exactly this death is out of life, and those stuff always symmetric. So we can conclude out of death then birth, which is basically like resurrection, right? Resurrection or of Dion. Yeah. So, but for Laozi, it stopped there. Right? It, and like the passage I have the interpretation of Chen Guyin is something like you get out of birth or get out of, say, maybe you get out and you are alive, maybe get out of birth or something like that, you are alive. You enter the earth and you are dead. So then he kind of like added between 出 and 生, like something, and between 入 and 死, definitely the word earth, and then that's how he interpreted. Yeah. And I found that he kind of like added something which is not said, and also make it kind of like quite banal, trivial. But I found out like a different, the like straightforward definition between the relationship or the distinction between the life and death more interesting. Yeah. Instead of like thinking this as a birth and burial.
What does the word 图 mean? 生之图.
图 the most famous one is 徒弟,
Yeah, that's what I.
Yeah, that's just like the follower or student. So 徒 here maybe he's who belongs to, right? And then means something like how to say that, domain.
But then why does it mean that you die young? Like those who belong to life and those who belong to death? How is it translated to those who live long and those who die young?
Those who belongs to the domain of life.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that you live long, right?
No. Also background information here, like 1B, right? Who was the most famous, maybe the most famous interpreter of Laozi. I think died at 22.
Oh,
So he is definitely those who die young. 3 out of 10. And also the third category, right? Those who are alive but mill around in the field of death are also 3 out of 10. So what's this kind of people? And the third is here, 夫何故以其生生之后, right? And then here says, and now why is that? It is because they take too good care of their lives. So here we have one question: who are they, right? Who are they? For me, there would be two possibilities. The first is those they are 90% all of the 3 domains mentioned. And the second, so then which means the only one who don't take too good care of their lives are the 10%. And the second one is they are the last 30%, right?
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, it makes the most sense for the last 30%, I think. Because I feel like the last 30% are those who are alive but don't live well, or like they live in some sort of like living death. Because otherwise, if they're just living dangerously, like the commentary suggests, then they would be the ones who die young, right? So then it seems to be that they take too good care of certain things, but then they neglect the Tao, maybe.
I think this would have a implication, like the first 30% domain, those who live long are not emphasized, right? The same as those who die young. But the second interesting of all those domains are those who are alive but mill around in the field of death. Maybe the most people in his time, say the normal people, right? The most kind of so these comments, this more relevant for the common situation, and the first emphasis then come to the 10%, which is the second stanza. Or if we read it as Z as a 90%, then we can say this passage is first stanza about the 90%, right? And then the second stanza is about the 10%, and they kind of like become balanced two groups.
Yeah, but then it would mean that those people who live long take too good care of their lives, which sounds a bit like, yeah, it makes sense, but it doesn't sound like it's a critique anymore.
Okay. Yeah. And the other question I have is, I found this passage, especially the second stanza, very implausible. You don't even know what he means. Then for me, it's just like makes the plausibility of the whole Laozi even a little bit. If someone talks something like this, and then if I had this passage and I cannot take what all of he says seriously, right? So that second stanza is weird, right? Mysterious.
Yeah, but which part exactly do you find implausible? The one about not wearing armor when going into battle, or?
Most of them, right? Do not encounter rhino or tigers who traveling on land, right? This could mean a lot of stuff. Maybe they just do not go to these dangerous places, right? So they know geography, or they know very well the environment, and they are also not like adventurous, right? But also means luck or even like magic. I have the feeling it's magic, what Laozi means.
Yeah, but I think that the Tao is something a bit magical as well, right?
Yeah,
I guess like his
exactly.
idea is if you align yourself with the Tao, it's not just that you have a lot of skill, but that good things will also happen to you magically somehow.
So the good fortune will also happen to you if you follow Tao, right? Basically.
Yeah, a little bit like that, I think.
And then the second one, do not wear armor when going into battle, which means just, you know, in the time of Boxeraufstand, you know, something like that. You know, something Chinese history, maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time, a lot of those 气功 or like the battles that those traditional battle skill practice and
The martial artists.
yes, they really believed that knives and also guns cannot get into them. So they go to battle with the British soldiers, and of course they died. Right? So it's weird. And the following even more weird, right? The reason is we say luck or mystery or something like that. We still have some room for interpretation. But here what he means is that the tiger finds no spot to sink its claws, and the rhino finds no spot to to put its horn. So it seems that really encountered this stuff and also knife, but still really cannot get hurt. And it's a further explanation because they don't have a place for death or right.
Yeah, not in the field.
We talked about Laozi's passage about death after Fritz died, right? And this passage is the core one. And we can hardly use this one in this background, talk about Fritz's death. Nothing. Cannot give us comfort. Cannot teach us any, to teach me at least any wisdom about death. No, nothing.
I mean, this whole passage seems more about living a long life rather than anything about like how to deal with death.
How to avoid death, right? Well, like how to deal with death, which means how to avoid death, because death is just nihilistic. It's just out of life. But you should not live your life too well, then that was a problem, right? Which is 生生之后 to good care of their lives. So there's a question.
The last line about not being in the field of death. Are these the people talked about in the second stanza not in the field of death because they avoid danger, or like is it because they do all the things that the stanza talks about, that they don't encounter rhinos and they don't wear armor, or is it something else?
Exactly, that's we also discussed, right?
Mm.
It kind of it does not seem like a reasonable calculation, but we think avoid the rhino or tiger is that way, right? Be careful and cautious, or get more knowledge about where these dangerous animals or any kind of danger can be. But I think that's not what Laozi means. That would maybe those who take too good care of their lives. I
don't know.
think
I thought that too good care of their lives one was more of a critique about people who spend their life too much in luxury. Like they eat well and they drink well and all that.
definitely, yeah, that one. I think that's in that interpretation. In my opinion, we're not far away from the truth.
Yeah, but I don't think that he has to, that it follows that he's also critiquing the kind of people who try not to encounter rhinos and tigers or try not to get hurt in battle.
Maybe some other passages which also relative to this one is chapter 76. I can read it quickly for you. But the basic idea we already know. When alive humans are soft and weak. When dead, they are hard and stiff. Grass and trees are soft and fresh when alive. When dead, they dry up and wither away. Thus, that which is hard and stiff belongs to the dead. That which is soft and weak belongs to the living. That is why a strong but stiff army is bound to lose. A strong but stiff tree is bound to break. The hard and stiff are inferior. The soft and weak are superior.
Mm.
And then from this passage, we make say like then here the 10% maybe are soft and weak, right? Yeah.
I mean, that would make the thing about not wearing armor maybe also make a bit more sense, because the people who wear armor are less flexible, maybe, or like they're harder instead of softer.
Mm. 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 And the second is maybe Laozi means, so you know another passage which can go together with this is his pacific stance, right?
Mm.
And then just means do not invade other people or do not get into the wars, then you will live long, right? Or live well. But this one has a problem because he says this, do not wear armor when going into battle. So they're really going into battle, right? Not avoid the wars, not as simple as that.
Yeah.
And another passage is chapter 75. I also read it for you. The common people are hungry because those above levy too many taxes. That is why they are hungry. The common people are hard to govern because those above do too much. That's why they are hard to govern. The common people take death lightly because those above care too much for their own life. That's why they take death lightly. For those who do not do too much for their own life are wiser than those who seek luxury life. And this passage is then in this says two stanzas. In the third and the fourth stanzas are relevant to us. I read it again. The common people take death lightly because those above care too much for their own life. That is why they take death lightly. Fourth, for those who do not do too much for their own life are wiser than those who seek luxury life. So here, then we can find a little bit what could be means took good care of their lives in the framework of ruled and ruler. Yeah. So basically, he wants to say, among those rulers, there will be someone who does not take too good of their lives, then they can live longer, because those people who just like dictator and also luxury life and will maybe get killed, like a tyrant or something like that, right? Maybe then the interpretation of chapter 50 goes this way, I think.
Mm.
Further question?
No, I don't think so.
Then we go to 51, right?
Yeah.
Well, this one's even more complicated. Maybe here we can read it like this, one stanza after the other, and I read Chinese, you read English.
Okay.
Like this may be more interesting. 道生之，得处之，物行之，事成之。
Tao gives birth to them, the nurtures them, form shapes them, circumstances make them.
是以万物莫不尊道而贵德。
That is why all things revere Tao and honor the.
道之尊，德之贵，夫莫之命而常自然。
Tao is revered, the is honored, because they never give orders but always let things be.
故道生之，得处之，长之育之，庭之独之，养之覆之。
Thus Tao gives birth to all things, and the nurtures them, raises and cultivates them, mellows and matures them, tends and shields them.
生而不有，为而不恃，长而不宰，是谓玄德。
Birthing and not possessing, getting things done but not taking advantage, leading but not dominating. This is called the profound De.
Question?
This one makes it sound like we were talking about what the relation between Tao and De was, and this one makes the manifestation interpretation make much more sense. Like De is an application or a manifestation of Tao.
So that's the first two sentences, right?
Yeah.
You know the four causes of Aristotle's four causes?
Not really. I think I remember like there's a formal cause, there's a material cause, there's like the telos, and I don't remember what's the last one. Are those correct?
Yes, the same for me. So I also do not remember the last one. Material, form, telos, and maybe dynamic. Dynamic. I will check shortly. Because here I make me think of that, but you know what I mean, right?
Not really. Like I don't. I mean, there's form, I guess, but where is the material cause? Is it Tao?
No.
Because Tao seems more like the telos cause, or it's a mix of like the material and the telos, I guess.
Yeah. Material cause, formal cause, efficient cause. Kinesios, yeah. Telus, final cause. The final cause is the Tao, right? And
But the Tao is also the material cause, no? Because it gives birth to it.
I would say material and the form are in the second, both in the fourth, right? No, sorry, in the third. Form shapes them. So, there's a word wu, which just means things. So that would be the two materials and forms both are there. So the shi maybe could be interpreted as efficient cause, because here that's exactly what we can discuss. The shi are usually interpreted as the first environment, circumstances, and also and so on and so forth. And the second is force, dynamic, and the third is opposition, like just especially those how the dichotomies, usually what Laozi always says, like beauty and ugliness, high and low, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So there are those three leading interpretations. One of them are like you can say efficient cause or dynamic cause or kinetic source cause. Yes.
I don't know if it really makes sense to associate the Tao with the telos, because isn't the telos something like an end purpose? So like the telos of a seed is to become a fruit. But I don't think that Tao has any end goal. It doesn't become anything in the end. There's no goal.
That's true. Here, this I do not, and Aristotle, I'm not very familiar with him, but in Plato he discussed the primary cause and the auxiliary cause. And the primary cause is just I had maybe similar to Aristotle's final cause. Just means the good, the good, the beautiful, and so on and so forth, or the divine. And in this case, since I think also a little bit parallel to Tao. Anyway, yeah, I think it's firstly too much, too far away, but it's just reminded me of something like that. When I read Laozi, I have the feeling to kind of like discuss in a different way the very similar problematic as Aristotle or Plato. For Plato's, maybe the relationship between form and the sense object, and he also have a lot of to say, and yeah, how the form made the sense object, and so on and so forth. And you also remind me of this passage, or this passage reminded me of Plato's such ideas. Yeah. But anyway, I think it's too far. I gone too far. And I have another question. If you do not have further question to what I've said.
Oh.
The further questions, the four 知, you know how to interpret them. 道生知, 得出知, 物行知, 事成知. So what these 知 are, right? 知 can be it, them, or something like that. But what does this mean here? In every one word.
Isn't it the one u in the next stanza?
Mm. One
Oh, I think in the fourth stanza, the translator also makes the same assumption because he translates the 字 as all things in the first line.
Thou give birth to them. All things reverse. Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Okay, I think this one's in fact simple, but makes sense.
I have a question about the second and third line of the first stanza. Like, what's the relationship between and u? Like, so he says that form shapes them and nurtures them. And what's the difference between nurturing and shaping?
Hmm.
Because like if I imagine like a parent bringing a kid up, you can say that they shape the kid's personality, but you can also say it's cultivation or nurturing. So where exactly is the difference?
And this also, I think that's somehow interrelated to the interpretation of the 知, you know. Because if you say 知 is 万物, you know, so 道生万物, 得处万物, 物行万物, you know, there's problem. 事成万物.
Why is there a problem?
I think that works perfect for the first 道生万物, even for the second 得处万物, right? And the third is 物成物行万物. It's same shapes all things. And like also the problem for the third stanza, especially if the 是 is interpreted as circumstances. The circumstances make or accomplish all things. So all things and circumstances seems to be very close to each other, right?
Is it? Because like it can be. I mean, we usually say like everything is up to chance, or it's just like it's a matter of probability. And it seems to mean the same thing as like circumstances determine all things, or at least they complete all things.
But circumstances also part of the all things, right? The thing I just want to say, like the same shapes, all the things, and all the things can accomplish all the things, all things.
I feel like circumstances is more like the arrangement of all things. So you can have like say you have two balls, and then how you arrange them is like the circumstance. So the ball can be on top of each other, they can be next to each other. So I don't think it's like a contradiction to have like circumstances completing things.
Yes, the 是 may be the best translation into English of the trends, I think. Trend.
What?
Trend.
Trend?
So, or, you know, like gravitivity, that's usually 是, because if you say you let go a ball, a iron ball, right, in the heaven, it will go down, basically, and this turns to go down.
You mean like potential energy?
Yes, 是天下大事. This is the trend under heaven in the world. All the things turns to be. And then, okay. And this one is not so difficult, but thing shapes or things, I think that's a little bit problematic. Further question for this passage?
No, I don't think so.
I also don't have questions for this passage.
Shall we move on to the next one then?
Yeah. 天下有始，以为天下母。既得其母，以知其子。既知其子，复守其母，莫生不殆。
The world has a beginning. That is the mother of the world. Once you get to know the mother, you understand her children. Once you understand the children, you return to the mother. To the end of your life, you will have no peril.
塞其兑，闭其门，终身不侵；开其兑，济其事，终身不咎。
Stop all outlets, close all doors. To the end of your life, you will be free from hassle. Unplug the outlets, encourage activities. To the end of your life, you will be incorrigible.
见小曰明，手柔曰强。用其光，复归其明。无遭生殃，是为习常。
Seeing the small is called enlightenment. Staying soft is called strength. Take advantage of the light. Return to your enlightenment. Bring no more calamity to yourself. That is the legacy of eternity. I guess I mainly don't understand the second stanza. Stop all outlets, close all doors. To the end of your life, you will be free from hassle. Seems to, like the commentary also suggests, seems to be the passage we had last week where like you don't have to travel around and the whole meditating thing. So that one I understand. The second one, I don't really understand why if you unplug the outlets and encourage activities, then you become incorrigible.
I think that in the mainstream interpretations, like stop all outlets of your desires. Add something.
Oh, I think I know I misunderstood the word incorrigible. It means incapable of being corrected. I mean like being stubborn. I thought I misunderstood it as incorruptible. So I thought it was something positive.
I see.
Okay. Yeah, now it makes more sense.
I think that's the normal interpretation, right? And the other interpretation is meditation. So outlets means eyes. So basically, close your eyes. And the doors means like mouth or breath. So basically means away from sensation and observe or minimize your breath and so on and so forth. And then this one would be some practical principle of meditation. So if you interpret it as desire, then make a lot of sense in nowadays, right? So if you really stop your outlets of desires, and you will be free from hustle. It's as simple as that. So what the word has a beginning, that's the mother of the word, means the Tao, right? So the word has a beginning, which is the Tao. And where says where does the Tao come from? Not answered, right?
I mean, I don't think it makes sense for the Tao to have a beginning, right? Because it's supposed to be like the principle of everything. It's like God is the unmoved mover kind of thing.
So then the word has a beginning, is the Tao, that's the mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know the mother, and then you can also understand the word as a whole, because they are then the son of the mother.
Mm-hmm.
And then you understand the word as as it has developed as a son, and then you know, okay, what's really important is the mother, which is the Tao. So you go back and to return to the mother, and shou, which means keep, right? Keep it and hold to it. Then to the end of your life, you have no peril.
Mm.
And how about the last stanza?
I mean, it seems similar to the other passage, like 76, I think, about softness is the strong one, or softness is the better one. And the rest doesn't seem to be that new, I guess.
So I think what new is take advantage of that light, of their light, or so, which is the light of some of what, qi, and 富贵其名, also return to your enlightenment. Then here's translated into yours. So in this case, then take a use, yes, use your light, return to your enlightenment. Where's this light? Maybe use the light of the Tao, return to the light of the Tao. I don't know.
I mean, that would make the most sense, I think.
And 无遭生殃, bring no more calamity to yourself. This is the opposite of the to the end of your life. You will have no, you will be incorrigible, right?
Yeah.
And like they are. And this is the legacy of eternity. This one is really interesting. 是为习常. Xi usually means like following or beerbt. Geerbt. How to say that? Like you take something from your father.
Inheritance.
Inherited. Yeah. So which means therefore, or that maybe is inheriting the eternity. What could that mean? That is the legacy of eternity, or that is inheriting.
I mean, doesn't it just mean something like following the Tao? Because I assume that eternity is like the Tao, like 常道.
The constant or
Mhm.
eternity.
The eternal way. So
Mm. Still, it feels a little bit difficult to understand. Further question?
no, I don't think so.
Good. I also don't have question anymore. 53.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's long. So I will read to the end. 使我介然有之，行于大道，为师是谓。I think here I can make a.
If I know a little of anything, when I travel on the main road, what I fear most is going astray.
大道甚夷，而人好径。朝甚除，田甚芜。仓甚虚，夫文采，待利剑。宴饮食，财货有余，是谓道夸，非道也哉。
The main road is flat and smooth, yet some people prefer the bypaths. Their palaces are spotlessly clean. Their fields lie in waste. Their barns quite empty. They wear embroidered satin, carry all-penetrating swords, indulge in food and drink, luxuriate in wealth and goods. That is Tao, the bandit chief, not Tao, the main road. I mean, this chapter doesn't seem to me to be anything new, I think. It's just saying, I mean, it's condemning the rich for indulging in luxury and talking about how all of these palaces and stuff is unnecessary. And what's more important are the fields and like the people, the mean, I guess.
But I think there's some details here. The first is,介然有知或智。Like he translated know, if I know a little of anything. In any case, it's know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or knowledge. Like make me a little bit have knowledge. Like just literally, right? Or have wisdom. So we see Laozi criticize knowledge and wisdom all the time, right? But here this word seems to be positive, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one something new or something so not so coherent. And the second one is 为师是谓. So he translated going astray. And I think 师 basically means give or dona. But then here could be means like action or just give or take something. And I think they interpreted as 写 is this very, very long way of different relationship between etymological Chinese characters. And then go to S3. For me, a little bit difficult, this interpretation, but it aligns very well with the later one, which also is important detail in this passage is 人好径, people prefer bypass. So bypass and go astray, they have something in common. So it makes that a little bit plausible. Yeah. Because if you interpret 诗 as action, then what I fear most is action. The main road is flat and smooth, yet people prefer the bypass, which means bypass is the action then, which makes really a little bit problematic. And the third interpretation is what I've only fear is this, like, which one? Then the main road is flat and smooth, yet people prefer bypass. So that's the three kind of like interpretation of this 诗. Yeah.
Wait, but what does wei mean? Wei, or the last word?
We is simple. I think we is just fair. Too fair. Further question or comments?
No.
No. I think I also have everything. And shall we do chapter 54 or leave it for the next time?
We have
Now 15 minutes. I think enough for one passage, right? Although it's a little bit long. What do you think?
So are you suggesting we go on, or because I feel like them? So should we do it?
No, I ask you, what do you think?
I don't know if there's that. It's a long passage, but I don't know if there's that much to talk about it.
Yeah, so if that, we may try.
Okay.
I think it's from a historical perspective, this passage has something has a lot to say. I think that's why the commentary is very long. But we will try. 上见者不拔，上报者不脱，子孙以祭祀不辍。
Good builders do not give up. Good holders do not let go. Lineage worshippers do not quit.
修之于身，其德乃真；修之于家，其德乃余；修之于乡，其德乃长；修之于邦，其德乃丰；修之于天下，其德乃普。
Cultivate this in yourself, and your德 will be genuine. Cultivate this in your family, and your there will be plenty. Cultivate this in your village, and your there will take the lead. Cultivate this in your state, and your there will be abundant. Cultivate this in the whole world, and your there will be universal.
故以身观身，以家观家，以乡观乡，以邦观邦，以天下观天下，吾何以知其然哉？以此。
Thus, through one person you observe all persons. Through one family you observe all families. Through one village you observe all villages. Through one state you observe all states. And through the world you observe the world. How do I know that the world is like this? That is how.
Have you read the comments of this passage?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think it's basically the differences between Confucius and Laozi.
Mm-hmm.
That one, you already get that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I didn't pick up on it when I was reading the text itself, but I guess it's an interesting difference that for the Confucians, it's as long as you do the individual thing well, everything will follow from it. And Lao Tzu doesn't seem to think so. He thinks that different levels have different requirements.
Exactly. And you should, like say, every object for itself, by itself, right? And to itself, something like that. Yeah.
But the sentiment in the last stanza is also a repetition of this one where you don't have to travel very far to learn everything, because it's like through one family. Presumably that's just your own family. You can observe all the families.
So I think this make more sense, right? Like even today we say, of course you can compare like Germany, a country, as a person or as a family, right? But that's not the best way to do research, say, right? And usually, if you want to compare something, then you compare like Germany to France, right? So, and find this even further, find the same aspect. Do not compare Germany's population with like France's rivers, so and so on and so forth, maybe. Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting about this like emphasis on observing of like guan instead of controlling. I mean, that's what the commentary says at least. That Lao Tzu doesn't seem to be that interested in really controlling or manipulating all these things, but more in like just looking at the natural order of how they function.
That's also important in Plato, like the philosophers are just those who observe or watch the forms. Like for German was anschauen or something like that, right? This schau dich das an or something like that. Just
But I mean, in Plato, in the Republic, for example, he does seem to take a lot more hands-on approach about the whole thing, right? Like the philosopher king is someone who's supposed to regulate the whole state.
he has a lot of discussion about that, in fact. I think in the allegory of cave, so the philosopher is the one who climbed out of the cave and see the sunshine also under the sun, and he suggests he will go back, but he also said this is in fact against his nature. But he also thinks he should go back somehow. That's what you're saying, I think. Then, in fact, in the best cases, he should only there observe the good and the forms and enjoy himself, right? But for some reasons, then in the second place, or even I don't know which is the first, maybe also the first place, he should go back to do some practical stuff in his state. That's what Plato is saying. But I just want to say it's complicated to this regard, and also he discussed a lot. But one stuff is sure for Laozi, especially later for Zhuangzi. Of course, you should not take some hands-on practical activities. That would be suicide. Yeah.
But then again, the second stanza does seem to be something practical, right? Like cultivate or like seal, and not just in yourself, but also in your family, in your village, and in your state. So there's, I mean, I don't know what the extent of this cultivation is, but he does seem to still think that you should do something for the community.
You can see that this cultivate has object, right? 知 cultivate this, which is this. It's seem to be the first stanza, right?
Yeah.
So this cultivate is not kind of actions, but those actions which is good builders do not give up. What does it mean? Good holders do not let go. Lineage worship do not quit. Because here I think he what's that? He neglected one word 以子孙以祭祀不辍. He only translated 子孙祭祀不辍, you know. For me, it's kind of like good builders do not give up, good holders do not let go. Therefore, lineage worshippers do not quit. Or thus, or because of those, so we get to the point that the lineage worships do not quit. It seems then this lineage worship do not quit is very important. That's like the cultivation itself. Anyway, that doesn't make any sense though. But
yeah, I don't understand what you mean.
okay. So I just mean then cultivate this, then we will ask ourselves what this is, right? And we go back to the first stanza. And this first stanza, what is really important is 祭祀, you know, lineage worshippers, worship seems to be this in the second stanza, because the other two sentences, 上见者不拔,上报者不脱, seems to only be like a means to the end, which is lineage worship. And so basically cultivate what in the second stanza seem to me like to be always continuing the worship, lineage worship.
But wouldn't that yi have to be in the first line? So wouldn't it be yi zi sun? and everything else in order to mean this thus or whatever. Because if it's just Sun Yi, whatever comes next, then it seems to be like the Yi is like true, isn't it? At least that's how it's translated in the last stanza, like Yi Jia Guan Jia, like true one family. So isn't it like
yes, that's true. So in that case, it's a proposition, right? Or how to say that in English?
yeah, preposition.
That could also work. Then the descendants through rituals or worships does not die out or does not quit. You know.
I mean,
I
at least
think
that,
then, go ahead.
that wouldn't. I mean, that would make more sense for this zi in the second stanza, because then they will be talking about this not quitting and not giving up.
Which makes sense. What sense?
Like if we read the Yi not as therefore, but as a preposition.
Okay. Through, right. And so, what is this then? Just rituals and worships?
No, I think it's like the quality of not giving up, or like perseverance and endurance. That's also
Perseverance.
what the commentary is saying.
Mm. Mm. I think that I don't know in how far that's Laozi, but I really like that interpretation. That sounds in fact Confucian,
Yeah.
just persevering like for your goals. And also persevering the principle in the family or harmony of the family, so the family does not get like in Germany, right? In Germany, do not like in Germany like me, right? It's really hard for a middle-aged man, person to somehow have a stable relationship or a family. Then, in this case, then we can interpret this passage as just good builders of relationship or family do not give up. Good holders also don't let go, right? Just like worships of the ancestors, you should continue all the time. If you use this principle to yourself, and then maybe like I try to hold this philosophy reading group, right? I just do not want to quit. In any case, like if I don't feel very well, or I just want to have a travel, and I will somehow try to keep it going, right? I something like this, and it may be good for you, and also for the family, for a relationship, and you keep this, and then it will good, and for the fact for a country like China, if it sticks to its long goals or industrial politics, then it will can't kind of like get abundant and so on and so forth, right? Then it goes that way. But is that Laozi?
Yeah, I don't know. It does feel kind of weird for Laozi to be saying this.
Yeah.
But I think it's the best interpretation, because if you interpret this as like Laozi says to cultivate ancestor worship, that makes even less sense. That sounds even more Confucian.
Mm. So difficult and mysterious, this text, right? I think since I read it with you guys and get more like understanding of it, I find it really confusing. And in fact, before that, I have read this text for, I would say 20 times or something like that. I didn't have this feeling, but when I really read it in depth or in detail, I really find it's quite complex. How's that? Perplexing. Just unbelievable. Sometimes you just see Stevens, I sometimes even doubt now. Once it's like this passage random, you know, or a lot of stuff has just gone. So maybe this book is 20 times as long as this, and only a few like here and there, and a few passages remain.
Or it could also be the case that not everything was written by one person, and so there are like different authors. Because I think I saw that somewhere. I read about that the textual scholars are not entirely sure if there really is a one single Laozi who composed everything, or is it like added on?
Mm. Mm.
Which would then make sense for this passage where it doesn't really sound like what Laozi would say.
Partly already, like you know, especially the third stanza, it's really new. You can feel it's in the Chinese history. It's of philosophy. It's something you can only give to say Laozi. But the problem is this following something seems very the first and the second stanzas. Yeah. I like the tempo today. Anyway, I think we should also get a little bit faster. Otherwise, we just get too tired of this text, right? Do you feel that way or not at all?
A little bit, I think. But also I think the text repeats a lot of itself quite often, which makes it a bit boring sometimes.
Mm. So maybe about five chapters would be really good. So you can say now people just lose interest for this book and this nobody shows up anymore. Only out. If I still you just didn't show up someday, we'll get bored and then it's over. Okay. I think next time we will also do 5 chapters. And then after this book, I'm thinking whether Zhuangzi is interesting and also following Laozi or some Confucian text, like a 《论语》, you know, the Analects or something like that. But let's see.
I mean, I think I would be more for Zhuangzi, just because when I was doing the lecture in Chinese philosophy with Bini, he kept talking about how that's his favorite book, and he keeps saying like that it's a really great work of philosophy. So I'm curious to see how it is.
Zhuangzi is great, but some passages are really dense. So it, I don't know. For Skylar, you and me is definitely great. But if we have other people, that would be challenging for them. Yeah, that one's Zhuangzi is great. Yeah. So then I didn't even. I'm also thinking whether I should do a Umfrage. Maybe just vote, just go say let's do Zhuangzi. I'm also for Zhuangzi a little bit more. Yeah. Zhuangzi will be passages as a long text, then which was different from Laozi and a little bit similar to Munzi. Did you join Munzi time or?
Yeah, I joined at the last part, the last book, I think.
The last part was already short passages. The sixth chapter was really long and systematic. I think you were still not there. That one was exciting. So, okay. Yeah. Good discussion today.
Yes.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.
Take care. Bye.